Well, hello everyone, welcome to Primal Prepper. Okay, yes, it's another, we're going to start calling them van talks. It's another van talk, and why not? Why not? So, what I'm going to talk about today is financial end time currencies. Okay, currently at the moment we all live in a world where we're using some form of financial system. Okay, dollars, pounds, yen, lira. Do people still use lira? Not sure. And the like. But obviously back in the day we didn't always use them, and possibly in the future we won't use them. Now let's think about the currency as it stands at the moment. We have small change, we have large change, we have electronic banking, we have crypto. Okay, we have all these different things. We have checkbooks, we have credit cards, we have debt, lots of debt. We have unsustainable debt. We have debt to the point where it's going to pop the bubble soon, and we're all going to wish we didn't have debt. And you might not think you have debt, but you do one way or another. Okay, you've got a mobile phone on a contract. Theoretically, you're indebted to them. They've given you the phone before you've paid for it, or when you're paying for it over X amount of months. Okay, so you're in a form of debt. But we're not here to talk about a form of debt. We're here to talk about the currency. Now, if you think about gold, silver, just general currency, maybe gemstones, okay, these expensive things to have. Why are they expensive? Well, because it's gold, it's silver. Okay, you have to mine it out of the ground. You have to find it. It takes a lot of time. It's precious. It's a finite resource. Everything is a finite resource. Everything is finite. That's something I can't probably ram down your throat enough in any of my prepping videos, and probably I should ram it down your throat even more than I do. Currently, we don't think anything is finite. Okay, because of the way society has developed. Okay, it depends on where you're watching this from, but in most developed countries we just turn on a tap, water comes out, we take it for granted. We turn on a light switch, the lights turn on, electricity runs, we take it for granted. And the same with our currency. We go to the shop, we put out our card, we wave it over a sensor, bing, done. Numbers have transferred from one person's spreadsheet to another person's spreadsheet. That's the transaction. Nothing actually physically changed hands except for the goods in the shop. But what happens when we think about these things? Let's just say we got cash. Okay, that's what everyone has, like one way or another, either in their bank card, on their phone, or in their wallet as bits of paper and lumps of metal. And then we have the more precious metals. We have silver. Let's just go for silver. Okay, now silver is a precious metal. Believe it or not, there isn't many active silver mines, but just purely mine silver, because the price of silver is so low at the moment. They can't actually make money out of that. So most of our silver we have coming into the system, new silver should we call it, actually comes from byproducts of other mining. It's like when they're mining things like lithium or copper, they go through seams of silver every now and then, and it's in the way. They drag it out, they dump it on one side, and they say, oh, we'll put that on the market whenever we can be bothered. Okay, it's a byproduct. And then we have gold, and gold is actively mined as gold, and then you have gemstones as well. And obviously some gemstones are down at the levels of cash, and other gemstones are up at the levels of gold. Okay, so, but we're not going to get into the fine nitty-gritty of this. We're not going to get into the conspiracy theories of why diamonds are so expensive, because a diamond company bought up all the diamond fields and producing areas and then control the supply of diamonds. Okay, we're not talking about that, but it is kind of like what it is. Diamonds are actually quite a common gemstone. And what it is obviously a pure good quality diamond is rarer to find than your average run-of-the-mill lump of diamond like rock, which looks all dull and nasty, because with everything it comes in different qualities. Yeah, your gold, not all gold comes as 24 karat. Okay, that's why you have 9 karat gold. There's more impurities in it. Gold, which you find in riverbeds, for example, have more impurities in it than a gold nugget you might find while digging up the ground. The same with diamonds. But the thing with diamonds is there is a controlling company which supplies the world with diamonds. Okay, so they're in control of the supply of diamonds, which means they're in control of the price of diamonds. But we're not, as I said, we're not here to talk about shit like that. We're here to talk about currency in general. Now, when the world comes to an end as we know it, okay, because it's millions, billions of years down the line before the world actually comes to an end, when it becomes uninhabitable, where we can't live on it as we are now. But when society comes to an end, should we call it society instead of the world? Okay, don't sound quite so severe either, does it? But when society comes to an end, currency is going to change. It's going to change quick. Okay, so let's think about what you have possibly in your house right now, which will act like cash, silver, and gold. Now, first things first, water is probably going to become a big currency, because it's not, we all need it. We can only survive 3 days without it, okay? And to be fair, after 1 day without it, you're not in a very good fucking place. So let's just say we can only survive a day without it, but we all need it. And obviously, as I said, we all take it for granted. If you don't trust the taps, if you're into your conspiracy theories and you don't trust the taps, then, well, that's fine. You have bottled water. And if you don't trust the bottled water, well, you're filtering your own water. Okay, if you're really that deep into the conspiracy theories, well, what's to stop them from putting shit in bottled water, eh? Anyway, so that's that. But water's going to become a currency. If you've got the facilities to extract the water, filter the water, make it safe, yeah, you're on a little gold mine. So water is going up there with gold as currency. It's going to be a big trading currency when society comes to an end. It might not initially start off as that, because obviously there will be lots of stocks of water around. Yeah, the taps will keep running for maybe a day after a power out. Okay, because they have backup generators on the towers and things, and the treatment plants have backup generators. But when the backup generators go and all the bottled water aren't being rebottled in the factory anymore, then it becomes a bit of a finite, yeah, there's that word again, finite thing, and we have to then start manufacturing our own. And to be fair, this is one of the things I really hope to explore in a lot more detail in my channel. Yeah, doing the stuff you take for granted, even as preppers, from scratch. Okay, so at one point I will be making myself a filter out of this, that and the other. I might do research in it. I might just wing it and see if I end up in hospital, and that will be a video for us all, won't it? Day 2, I'm shitting and through and I have a needle. But anyway, so that will be something for the future, I hope. But then we go. Let's just go down the scale. Let's go from water. We're going to food. Okay, obviously we've got alcohols as well. Alcohols, let's just say liquids. Let's go from liquids. Let's go down the scale to food. Now, we can categorize our foods into the same currency system we use today. We have our cash food. Our cash food are the more perishables. Okay, so the things you have in your fridge. Yeah, you might be really clued up. You might have a power generated or solar power system which runs your fridge, which means you can keep things in there for longer because you won't be affected by power outs and the like, as long as whatever knocked the power out ain't damaged your solar system. And you might have wind power and that and everything. So, but it's still the perishable. It's still something that doesn't last too long. And even years down the line, yeah, you will still have these perishable foods. And all the foods you think about sticking in your fridge now, yeah, won't last very long in a daytime temperature. Okay, for example. Now, yeah, some veg lasts absolutely ages. Some people are misguided and deluded and put things like carrots in their fridge, and put things like eggs in their fridge. And I know in some countries you're advised to by your health organisations to put eggs in the fridge, but then you've got other countries where say no, just leave them on the side, they're absolutely fine. So you have your perishables, okay, things what don't last very long. Milk, for example, you can make milk last longer by turning it into cheese or butter, but as milk it don't last very long. Eggs, yeah, they don't last very long. You might have a good supply of eggs, but would you want to eat a 3-week-old egg which has been sitting on your side for 3 weeks? Okay, that's the question. And I know there's ways to test the eggs and all that. We're not going into all that. So they fall into your cash ready foods. Okay, stuff you need to shift quite quick, because if you don't, you're going to lose out on whatever you're shifting it for, or you're just going to lose out on it full stop, and it's not going to be there for you anymore. So you have that, and then you go up to your silver level foods. Now your silver level foods will be cans of food. Okay, long term, long shelf life. Yeah, we'll just stick with that. Okay, things like that, or again, things that you can do to make your foods last longer. So for instance, if you still have the abilities to make beef jerky, if you know how to make jerky without using any form of electricity, then yeah, that's your silver quality food. You can keep it for longer, you can sell it on for more. Okay, maybe your 3 eggs, you might be able to get a litre of water from someone else. Your pound of jerky, you might be able to get 20 gallons of water for. Okay, it's the way you have to think about it when it comes to bartering and the like. Now, we then have our gold level food, and gold level food are things like freeze-dried products. Okay, now this is a big investment at this stage. While you still have the cash, you can still do this, just the same as gold is a big investment at this stage. As freeze-dried foods go for, like, I don't mean like freeze-dried what you're doing yourself, I mean like manufactured freeze-dried. They come in a bag, they come in a mylar bag, you can stick them in a bucket, they last for 10, 20 years, maybe 50, depending on what it is and the quality of it. Yeah, but of course it costs a lot of money to make them freeze-dried in the first place. They cost more expensive, and then you've also got the fact that you've got preppers want these, so I can sell them for more, and the like. So you have your freeze-dried foods, that's gold level food. You have your long-term grains, and again, that is gold level food. Okay, because obviously they last a long time. You can buy pounds, you can buy more than you can eat of it, and store it in places. As long as you're storing it correctly, you're storing it in containers, you're keeping it dry, keeping it in the dark, it lasts decades. Okay, your pastas, again, it's a dried food. It's I can't think of the word, but it's had all the moisture taken out of it. There you go, drop it in the comments what it is I can't think of. It's had all the moisture dehydrated. It's dehydrated food. It's like freeze drying, but in a different way. It lasts for a long time, but it also means it's more precious to you. Yeah, now you're a prepper. If you're watching this channel, you are probably a prepper. If you're not a prepper yet, you're probably thinking of becoming one. So let's just also point out that your preps are always your preps, even when it gets to the point where you have to start using them, they're your preps. If you can not touch your bottles of water, if you have water filters, okay, use them early on. Okay, obviously you won't be able to rebuy them because the factories and things aren't working. You can't pop to the local store, that's been gutted out by looters and things. So use them early on. Now, why? Well, because as you go through the midterm of a disaster cycle, the water quality is only going to get worse. Okay, volcanic eruption is going to have loads of volcanic stuff, sulfuric acid, acid rain, etc., etc. Nuclear is going to be radioactive, okay, but it's going to take a while for that volcanic ash to actually get up into the atmosphere, react with the moisture, turn into acid rain, and then actually fall somewhere. So you've got this time span where you could be using the water supplies which are outdoors to go through your filter before they're contaminated to the point where your filter can't actually deal with them. And obviously, just logically thinking about it, the less work your water filter has to do, the longer it will run for, because that's like everything, okay? It has a finite time span on it, just as well as everything else, and you can look after yourself, be healthy, keep your body organs working longer, or you can mistreat yourself, put litres and pints of alcohol down your system, and your poor liver hasn't got a clue what's going on. It's working hard and it's going to die off soon. Filters are exactly the same. It's a filter. Liver is a filter. Your filter in your water filters is a filter. Try to put the cleanest water you can through your filter. Yeah, it will last longer. If you're trying to do it at the end times, if you sit there and drink through your 150 gallons of water before and then start using your filter, yeah, bearing in mind your 150 gallons is good for about 6 months. Okay, and let's face it, it's just water. If it's good purified water which has been done in a nice sterile place, that 6 months is just an insurance guarantee that the manufacturers put on their bottles, so you can't sue them if you end up with dysentery. Okay, so there you go, that's what it is. So it probably lasts longer than 6 months, and you can regenerate water as well, in a sense. Now obviously it goes stale, it goes stagnant, it loses its oxygenation. Well, you can add new oxygen in it, you can boil it, and that will revitalise the water. Okay, distilled water. If you ever go out, buy yourself some distilled water and give it a taste. It's not nice, it's flat, it's horrible. Okay, but give that bottle a shake up. Okay, like empty half of it into another container, shake both those bottles. It's got the oxygen in it, it's got all the other elements of gases what are in the air in that space between the top and the bottom of the water there, and it mixes it all back in. It revitalizes the water, it makes it taste better. Okay, so where were we talking? Water filters and things. Keeping your preps as preps even when you're using them. Okay, if you can grow your own food and save your cans are going to last years. Yeah, the food you grow is going to last months. So eat the food you grow, keep the cans on one side until you either A, have to use them, or B, need to use them. You might think they're the same things. No, have to use them is your crops failed and you're going to die if you don't eat. And need to use them is, well, I'm feeling really low today, I need a bit of a morale boost. The group needs a morale boost. But let's have a nice hot chili for a change. Or, yeah, this can is set to expire, or has gone 2 years past its expiry date. Let's open it up and let's see if it's still edible. Okay, obviously if cans and things are bulging, if they're showing signs of damage, if they look like they're ready to explode, you probably left it too late. It's probably got botulism in it. Because although all these companies try their best to make it a sterile environment, these things are microscopic. You can't eliminate all of them. Now they can get down to a point where there is so few that it takes forever for them to get to a point where they're going to be a problem for a human immune system, but still, check your foods, rotate your foods and things. We were talking about the currencies of food. So yes, your freeze-dried food, your rices, your really long-term things are like gold. Yeah, but you don't want to let go of this because it's like gold. Yeah, if you imagine you've got an ounce gold bar, which cost you, I don't know, £3,000, whatever your currency is. Yeah, how are you going to buy something with that? And the same can be said for silver. Let's say you've got an ounce of silver, and that's coming in at £35, and you want to go and buy a bottle of water for £1 or $1. Yeah, How are you going to come out that? Well, you're going to have to separate it and break it somehow. So, for instance, if you're after a bottle of water and you've got an ounce of gold bar, you need a microscopic sliver of that gold bar to pay for that bottle of water. 35 pounds worth of silver, but it's 1/30 or 1/35 of that bit of silver, whatever that works out to. It's about a 32th roughly. Okay, it's a manageable segment you can break off. There you go, 20 bit of silver for that bottle of water. Fantastic. See you next week. I don't know how's that water going to last you, but anyway, not the point. Yeah. So then you can have your small currency, your, let's call it cash. But then you have various different sizes of cash. Now, would you give a $50 bill, £50 for one bottle of water? If you're desperate, yes, you probably would, and especially when it's paper cash, because paper cash is useless. It's nothing. There is no value in it. Might come in handy if you run out of toilet paper. Could work if you need a fire. Okay, metal cash. There are uses for metal cash. Okay, you could perhaps bore holes in the top and bottom of all your 2p's or your quarters or whatever currency you have, and then stitch them together with little bits of wire and make some sort of protective clothing covering for it, sort of like armour, like ring mail or scale mail or plate mail. Okay, mail, an armoured jacket made with plates of metal. Now, these things can come in handy. If someone attacks you with a bladed weapon, it's going to take the edge off the blade. It's going to stop them from slashing you. If they lunge with you with a pointed weapon, you've increased the surface area of the vital areas. Okay, they have to get in between two of these little rings of metal. But on the sense of using it as currency, if you have £1 or $1 in your pocket, you can buy that bottle of water for £1 or $1. If you have a little gemstone out of an old ring, for example, you can use a little gemstone. But then we're getting onto trust issues there. But you're trusting the guy that is a bottle of genuine water, and they're trusting that you are actually giving them a sapphire for it. So instead of a blue bit of glass you found when you dropped that ornamental vase on the floor years ago. So there you go. That's like the currency of things. I'm going to try to keep this one short. We don't need to go into the nitty-gritties and the details of it. I've covered other little bits and bobs, and we've covered about like creating your own food and things like that. If you can create your own food, if you know how to make vinegar, if you know how to extract salt out of water, if you know how to make all these things to keep society and life going afterwards, you are a key aspect to any prepping group. Okay, if you know how to go out and gather food from the wild, if you know how to set snares, if you know how to use a crossbow or a bow or a rifle, well, remember, yeah, when it comes to armaments, rifle is like the gold. Okay, firearms are like the gold of armaments. Why use a rifle to kill a deer when you can use a bow and arrow? You use your silver. Why use your silver to kill a deer? Yeah, your bow and arrow to kill a deer, when you can use your cash as snare to catch 5 rabbits. So you have to think these things through. Okay, and that is the other thing, talking about thinking things through, as I'm just doing this, actually just thinking things through as we're talking about it. Yeah, you have to start looking at the world differently. When society comes to an end, it's come to an end. Now, it might be coming into an end for a year, a decade, a century, forever, I don't know. But you've got to have to start looking at things differently. Who owns that football pitch behind your house? Well, does it matter anymore? Yeah, that football pitch, that recreational little area which someone owned and people used to kick a ball around on for ages, or throw a ball around on for ages, is now just a prime bit of farmland for you and your community. Now, obviously, if things get better after 6 months, oh yeah, sorry mate, Yeah, you probably got your cash system up and running again. Let's face it, you're prepping, so you should have bars of gold, maybe silver, maybe. And gold and silver are not just used for currency as well. They have been traditionally used throughout history for that, but at one point so was salt. They are also, they have other properties to it. Gold is very good at conducting electricity. For example, it's a better conduit than copper wire. It make gold wire, but it's expensive. Silver has anti-micro properties. Yeah, works as like not an anesthetic. It kills off infections and things, like an antibiotic, I suppose. But it's not. It's just silver coming in contact with bodily fluids, namely blood, will release ions that will go in there and stop other things from happening. Okay, which is like the infection. And so it is good for that as well. So when you are dealing with your silver, if you're cutting your silver with a little fine hacksaw or something, remember, keep all the little shavings and the dust from that as well, because, well, that still has value. Okay. Yeah, so what were we talking about? Yeah, we went on to like the moral applications. If it only happened, it only lasts 6 months, well, you can say, look, sorry, I thought it was the end of the world, mate. Yeah, you have got another pitch at the end of the day. You can use that one if you want, and I will pay to have this returfed, for example. And yes, you might be paying for stupid decisions you made, but on the other hand, if the power went out, yeah, and 6 months rolls into a year rolls into a decade, and a decade rolls into your lifetime, then very possibly you actually have saved yourself by taking that preemptive step of turning that football pitch into a farm. Yeah, I'd done a little bit of research. It was for, it's ironic really, isn't it? I don't really do research for my videos and things, but I quite happily do research so I can make a little comment on X. It was talking about turning 7 football pitches worth of prime farmland into a solar farm. And I said, oh yes, because I often need to go to the farmer to get my electricity. Yeah, I often think, oh God, I'm hungry, I'm going to have a bite of electricity. So I weighed up how much food can 7 football pitches produce in a year. Yeah, and in 1 year, 7 football pitches can produce enough food, yeah, to keep one human adult alive for their lifetime. So 1 football pitch is going to keep us tied over, our community, your community, and just think how big your football pitch is. That's kind of all you need. Obviously, you might get bored with eating the same old stuff over and over again. If it's just carrots, you're going to be lacking in certain things, because carrots only give you certain things. That's why we have things called balanced diets. Okay, but you don't have to just turn that one field, that 1 football pitch, into a monocrop, because monocrops do not occur naturally in life. Okay, think about how nature works. You have hedgerows, you have woodlands, you have meadows, yeah, all of which provides different things. There are certain things that grow in the meadows which will provide you nutrients. There are other things that grow in those meadows that will provide you calciums and vitamins and minerals. Same with the woodlands, same with the hedgerows. So when you do get your hands on that football pitch, don't just think about the football pitch, think about what surrounds the football pitch. Think about what you can do to that football pitch to make things better in the long run for you. Okay? I'm not suggesting that at the first hint of a power cut, or the first talk that an asteroid might hit our planet, or the first talk of Putin pressing that red button, or hell, why not Trump pressing that red button, or someone in India pressing the red button. Yeah, you know what I'm referring to there. The first hint that there might be civil unrest in your country, your area, don't go and start ploughing up the football pitch. Okay, I'm not suggesting that. You've got to weigh it up. You've got to. You're in the know. You are the one who's preparing for something. If the power goes off for a week, the likelihood is it's going to stay off for longer. Most of us has never suffered a power cut more than a handful of hours. Okay, so I know. Yes, drop it in the comments if you will. Yes, there are places in the world which have suffered power cuts for longer than that. We've had like the Quebec blackout. We had Texas a few years back, which is probably a lot longer than I'm thinking. When they had their cold snap and they weren't ready for it, because let's face it, they're a warm state in America. So yes, give the football pitch at least 6 months. Yeah, give Luton at least 6 months. And don't go down to your local pharmacy. Don't go down to your supermarket within the first 3 hours of the power going out, because the chances are on hour 4 the power will be back on and you will have the police knocking at your door. Okay, because the chances are there's a backup generator. That camera was still rolling, even on batteries perhaps. They've got your face. Yeah, and I know this is a two-edged sword. Yeah, if you give it 6 months, what's going to be left in the supermarket? What's going to be left in the pharmacy? What's going to be left in the local garage down the road? Whatever anyone left, whatever anyone didn't think was useful. Okay, I tell you what, just think about it. Yeah, the power's been out now for 24 hours, and you're thinking, I think I need to go to the local supermarket to get some stuff. Just drop in the comments what the first thing will be. What's the first thing you're gonna like go for? Okay, and don't think about it too long. Just literally, first thing I'm going to the supermarket for bottles of water. Okay. How about the vinegar? Why didn't you think of vinegar? Vinegar's going to last you better in the long run. It's going to help you preserve foods to stay alive longer. You're a prepper, you should have your water. Yes, it'd be nice to go to the supermarket and steal some more, but so lots of people will go for certain things. Toilet rolls, sanitary towels, okay? All these various little things. Think of things that people are not likely to go for. What's the last thing you would steal out of a supermarket while you were looting it? Drop that in the comments as well. Drop them both in at the same time if you haven't already dropped in the first one. Okay, how about a tube of super glue? Yeah, not many people are going to think about a tube of super glue. Do you know what super glue was designed for? Super glue was designed for field medics during conflicts, to stick together deep but not life-threatening cuts. Okay, we use it for all sorts of things now, but that's what it was originally designed for. Tampons, okay, yeah, we'll go for it. Tampons are a huge currency. Tampons sit in the silver to gold range of currency for stuff you might have prepped. Women aren't going to stop having their periods all because the bloody lights go out. There's use number one. What they were originally designed for, they were not designed to... Okay, yes, maybe they were designed exactly for that, depending on how you want to phrase your word in here. But again, they were designed to shove into bullet wounds. Yeah, they're absorbent, they suck up the blood, they expand, putting pressure on the wound, helping it to heal, internally as well as externally. There you go. Number two thing you can use tampons for. Another thing you can use tampons for is starting fires. You can use it as dry tinder. You can put it out of its lovely vacuum sealed bag. I don't know, I don't buy them, I don't know what they come in. But you can open it up, yeah, it's dry. You can fluff it up. Yeah, obviously we're talking about a non-used one first. And then you can use it in your tinder to start a fire with. Okay, they're quite lightweight. You can just shove a few in your bug out bag. Who knows, you might make a friend for life because someone come on as you bumped into them and you've gone, here, I've got a pack of tampons, help yourself. Yeah, they might look at you strange to start with. Why are you walking around with a pack of tampons? But they will appreciate it, they will use them, and they might thank you forever. You might have made a long life ally somewhere. what else can you use tampons for? In a weird, strange way, perhaps you could even use them as some form of tea bag. Okay, you could possibly soak them up with, I don't know, like a flavoured tea, and then dry them out. And then when you want your flavoured tea, you just drop in your tampon. I know that sounds absolutely disgusting, and fair dues, it probably is. But in a pinch, yeah. After all, you're a prepper. You've probably seen, even if you're not a prepper, you've probably seen at least one video or one TV program or one something where someone's drunk their own urine. Yes, it might have even been on Pornhub. But in desperate times, desperate measures. Yeah? And just, there are stories of people who survived like siege situations during wars by eating nothing but soil. Now the soil itself is not overly nutritious. You need some sort of filter and some sort of system to get the nutrition out of soil, and our stomach is not designed to do it, but plants are. But there's worms in soil, there's grubs in soil, and probably that could be enough just to keep you going long enough to see out the end of the siege. Okay? Well, obviously it was, because the story got told. The woman survived, her and her son, by eating soil, nothing but soil. They were probably quite ill while doing it as well, and they probably ended up with like parasites. But at the end of the day, in desperate times, call for desperate measures. Now these desperate measures don't have to be as desperate as you sound. They don't have to be as desperate as you first think they are, because you're in the end times. Yeah? Modern society says it's disgusting to use a tampon to suck up a flavoured tea, dry it out, and then use it as a tea bag 2 months down the line, because we have tea bags, we have flavoured tea bags. Why are you doing that with a tampon? You're being an idiot. But end time situations, you pull out your flavoured tampon, shove it in some hot water around a campfire with a group of strangers you've met, and you're there drinking a nice berry flavoured tea while they're drinking hot water. Yeah, see the difference then? They're actually now looking at you thinking, now that's ingenious. Why did we not think of that? That is so simple. He's amazing. She's amazing. Okay, so that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. I was going to try to keep this one short, but I ramble, and I ramble a lot when I'm driving. So it's quite liberating, because most of the time, all this stuff is going around in my head when I'm driving, and I'm talking to myself about it in my head, sometimes out loud. But it's quite liberating actually talking to you lot about it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you think about signing up for my rather small prepping channel. If you want to leave any comments, do feel free. Drop in prepping hacks you do, prepping hacks you've dealt with in the past. If you see the hype button, can you hit the hype button for me if you have enough hypes left? Because hitting the hype button would push my channel up the viewing ranks tremendously a lot, considering the size of my channel. Okay, one hype for me would probably push me up higher than one hype for most other people, because simply I only have 6 subscribers. Okay, maybe 7 after you've just subscribed. Thank you very much if you have. If you didn't like this video, if you think I'm talking out of my arsehole, if you think I'm actually putting out bad information and the like, please do feel free, let me know in the comments before you hit that thumbs down button and piss off. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because again, that will help my channel grow. And I don't know if you've ever stood there and hit your head against a brick wall for a long time, but that's sometimes what it feels for us creators when we're putting out content and no one subscribes. And if you don't like the sound of subscribing because it sounds like it's going to cost you money, don't worry, it's not. It's free to subscribe. Subscribe to any of the channels you like. Okay, it costs you nothing except for maybe a few seconds of your time to hit that button. Okay, until next time you're watching one of my videos, remember, don't be scared, be prepared.